Do we have too much government?
We need to put people ahead of corporate profits.
This system is so lopsided.
This threat is a real threat to democracy.
And I think that's really important. That's something we haven't been doing in this country for a long time.
Where do you start? What do you do? How do you do it?
Access to Democracy and other Eagan community television programming is supported by Thomson Reuters, makers of Westlaw Next and based in Eagan. Through Westlaw Next and other innovative online services, Thomson Reuters is the world's leading source of intelligent information for businesses and professionals. Online at thomsonreuters.com. And by U.S. Federal Credit Union, the member-owned financial institution offering service, value, and experience you can trust to the greater Twin Cities community.
Welcome. Access to Democracy returns. And we have a return guest. I'm really pleased to welcome back Jim Graves. Jim was here last year as a virtually unknown politician, but well known in the area. And his story is pretty unique. And he's decided, after losing a congressional race against Michelle Bachmann by a very close margin, he has decided to take the plunge again, and there are many people who are very, very happy to hear that. And Jim, welcome back.
Thank you, Alan. Great to be back with you today.
Now, your story is unique because you have made a success, but you did it the old-fashioned way. You didn't inherit it, and nobody handed it to you. You really started out with virtually nothing. You and your wife used to go around. You were a folk singer. You had a small apartment, very humble beginnings, and you have turned into a tycoon. How does that happen?
Well, first of all, I don't know if I'm a tycoon, but I did start with humble beginnings. I come from an Irish Catholic family, if you will. 6 kids, worked our way through Catholic school, actually paid my own tuition at St. Cloud Cathedral, and then went on across town and went to St. Cloud State, got an education degree, and along the way did everything from being a janitor to being a musician, as you said. The difference, I guess, between some of us and some others like Romney is that I did it on Main Street with the people in and around the district and on the ground versus Wall Street. So it gave me a really good experience and skill set working with people, trying to find common ground and finding solutions.
And I know from the people who work for you that it also gives you a particular appreciation of the people who are working under you, with you. For instance, you said you were a janitor. And having spoken to some of your employees, I know that they have a very different perspective on, this guy understands us. He really appreciates us. He empathizes with us. You don't get that a lot anymore in this society.
I think what we forget sometimes, Alan, is that we as people have so much in common in the same desires and needs. We all want to get up in the morning, hopefully have a job, put on our shoes, go to work, find some dignity and some respect in the workplace, make enough money to go home, spend a little time with our family, pay our house bill, have access to good education and health care. It isn't that complicated. We all are in this together, and if we can come together, we can solve these big issues that we have in front of us. But if we continue the way that some people do in Congress, epitomized by Michelle Bachmann, I'm not running against her, I'm running for the people, but as long as you divide and you alienate and you criticize and you demonize people, you don't get things done.
Well, one thing I know about you, and it's interesting what you said, you're not running against her, you're running for the position, you're running to represent the district, which has not been well represented during her reign. She is a person who is interested in publicity and getting her face before the public. And I know that's not you. A lot of people don't know that, for instance, Graves Hotel is something that you started, and you also manage a large chain of hotels. I don't know how that came about exactly, but it didn't happen overnight.
Well, you know, again, you find out that if you can identify a need, which is an opportunity, and if you can bring the assets together, and the assets are the community, the people, the employees, the bankers, the community leaders, and you come together, you get a lot done. If you don't bring people together, you can see a lot of gridlock, and that's what we have in Washington right now, and we need to change this. This is a great country. Our future is great. I've got 7 grandkids, my wife and I do. They're beautiful. I want a country that they can be proud of as well. And as long as we keep going down this path where the very few have all of everything and the middle class is diminishing, it doesn't work. We're killing the goose that laid the golden egg, and that's the middle class. That's the people that want to get up and work hard and earn a good livable wage job and contribute to society. That's becoming less and less available to our young people, and that scares me. That's why I'm running for Congress.
And that's really, really an important reason. And the fact of the matter is, you have shown that in your personal life. You have shown that in the way you comport not only yourself and your family, and how active you've been in the community, and the things charity-wise and otherwise that you have done that set you apart from probably the average candidate.
Well, you know, Alan, if you're blessed and you've been given good opportunity, and I understand that it takes a community to raise a family, and it takes a community to raise businesses, and it takes community in general. If we've been given opportunities and we've been blessed with those opportunities, it's incumbent upon us to give back. My father, who just passed away in the last month, taught us, all of our kids, you know, don't forget to give back. There's a thing called stewardship, you know, and you have to be there. And if all we do is chase our own needs and our own happiness and forget about the real meaning of life, which is, you know, we're in this together and there's people hurting. Was it Alice Walker that wrote Color Blue? She said, when one of us bleed, we all bleed.
Yeah.
And that's true. It's true.
And that's one of the things that worries me about the soundbite society that we're living in. I think that all these technological advances are terrific, but somehow or other, so many people are getting caught up in them that they're losing sight of literally the forest for the trees. And you know, we can't. It's more than 15-second sound bites, and it's more than really just enjoying the good things in life. You have to be involved. You have to know what's going on. You have to be conversant with the issues. And I think that the people of the 6th Congressional District are entitled to that also, and they've been deprived of that.
And they're ready for it, Alan. They're good, hard-working people. They're good family folks. And they want opportunity like everybody else. But you really brought up something that's very important to talk about a little bit, is that we've gotten into this politics of money, politics of influence, politics of sound bites just to get reelected, rather than what we're really there for. We're public servants. We're there to serve. Our only pledge should be to serve the people, not Grover Norquist, not any special interest groups, but really serve the needs of this community that we serve. And we're seeing that kind of evaporate. It seems like it's become a blood sport. It's become kind of a thing that, hey, I'll do anything and everything to win. I'll say anything to raise money. I'll abdicate core values if I need to because I want to get reelected. That's not what this country was built on. It shouldn't be built on that. It should be built on integrity, on doing the right thing for the right reasons. And that's what, you know, I'm going to try to do. I mean, by no means am I perfect, but I always strive to be perfect. I strive to do the right thing.
Now, you wrote a very interesting article in the Star Tribune last month called "A Broken Tax Code," and you offered some solutions to the situation that we are in financially. So why don't you expound on that a little bit?
Well, Alan, I think it all begins with, you know, it's interesting. There was the article that I wrote starts off with a person that I know quite well, J.W. Marriott. I've done Marriott hotels. Bill Mary's been in my office. I've been to his. He's probably a good person, no question about that. But he started off this interview in the Wall Street Journal saying that what we need to do in this country is lower taxes so corporations have the resources to grow jobs. And then he said only by corporate growth can we grow the economy. And I totally disagree with that concept. I've been in business a long time as well. I'm not as well known as Bill Marriott, but the bottom line is companies only grow when there are aggregate demand, when there's demand for their goods and services. A company doesn't grow because they want to grow. They can only grow when they have demand, and that's the middle class. 70% of our GDP is basically a function of consumer spending. So when you kill that goose, which is a middle class, you're gonna not get the golden egg anymore. Now, I also think our tax system, it's 70,000 pages long, some 4 million words. Who knows what's in there? It's a piggy bank for special interests and for lobbyists. And I like to go back to Adam Smith's tenets of what good policy is all about. It's all about simplicity, equity, efficacy, and predictability. And none of those 4 tenets are any remotely related to our tax system. Our tax system is totally, it's not equitable, it's not predictable, it's complicated. So let's get it simple. I believe in a market-neutral taxation system, which simply means the taxes should be raised for one purpose and one purpose only: to provide the oxygen, the money for the operations and the obligations of the government. It shouldn't be there to pick winners and losers like it has. And that's what's happened with our tax system. So if we can simplify it, we can simplify income. Income should be income. In my book, and my understanding of what we should be doing is that whether it's earned income, like the person that works the floor at the factory, or flips hamburgers at McDonald's, or works at my hotel, they get a W-2. That's called earned income. That should be treated the same as the person that's in the 1% that gets all their income through preferred dividends, capital gains tax, carried interest, and these kinds of things. Income should be treated equally, so we're on a level playing field.
But those
and
people
then we
in that second
base.
category have so many loopholes to escape paying the same amount of taxes as the people working on the floor, or the person flipping hamburgers, or the person working in the Graves Hotel, that they are not carrying the burden that the, let's say, middle class is carrying. And I think statistics bear that out.
Oh, there's no question about it. I mean, when you see people that have large incomes, for the most part, they're non-earned incomes, and they're treated much more favorably than earned income. And that's where we go back to treating all income equally. And until we go back to the simplistic approach of that income is income, and we don't give the preferred benefits to unearned income, we're always going to have this disparity. And so my approach is that you get rid of all those things by capping, and this is actually a bipartisan concept. You cap the amount of benefit you can get from what we call tax expenditures, which are loopholes. And you cap those. And you say, okay, you can take, let's say for discussion, $20,000 of those. Whether you make $100,000 or $100 million a year, that's what you get. And then it becomes a little bit more of a level playing field. And we could talk more about it, but I think we have to address that, and we have to address our 2 big entitlements, which is Medicare and Social Security. And we can do that. We can solve these problems if we get real and we get honest and we let the facts speak for themselves.
See, I don't think of Social Security as an entitlement, because I figure I've been paying into that since I'm actually 16 years old. So if I'm getting money back at this point in my life, that's not an entitlement. An entitlement to me is something that you get for nothing. But
no,
the government had that money, invested that money, made interest on that money, and it really has escalated. I think that it's misnamed.
I think it's semantics you should be looked at. But at the end of the day, I couldn't agree with you more that if you paid into that your whole life, the last thing we want to do is what Paul Ryan and some of the Republicans are asking us to do, is privatize that. I mean, that would put our seniors at risk. That would put people at a disadvantage. And if we've done anything in this country with Social Security, we've provided a nest egg for those in their senior years, their golden years, that they can actually enjoy some of the life and some of the benefits and fruits of their labor. And so I'm a real strong advocate of firming up Social Security, making sure it's sustainable, the trust fund for 75 years, and we can do that very easily. We can do it in basically 3 things. We treat all income equally, so that we basically contribute, everybody that has $1 come in, they contribute equally. Secondly, I think what we have to do is right now we have a cap. After, I think in 2014 or 13, we're now at $113,500. Any income up to that amount, you contribute to your Social Security. After that, you don't. Well, what we can do is find out, if we broaden the base, we find out at what level do we need to have that so we can make it sustainable for 75 years. It might be $90,000 after we broaden the base, or it might be $125,000 or $145,000. But whatever it is incumbent upon us to adjust that accordingly. And then thirdly, and this has been kind of a thing that some of the Democrats have a problem with, but I think it's an approach that we can embrace, is we can use a chain CPI approach. It's a very technical measurement of what really inflation is, and it'd be more realistic, and it's not going to
based around the consumer price index.
Yeah, and it's not going to significantly. But so Social Security is very solvable. They like to use it as a political football, but if we just face up to what we have to do, Alan, we can solve that one quite quickly.
What about health care?
Health care is a bigger issue because that whole industry, and I call it the medical industrial complex, is totally a shadow economy that needs to be addressed. And some of the things we have to do with health care, if we really want to rein in the costs and make Medicare more affordable and all of our health care, is we have to treat it like any other business. And by that, what I mean is, let's go to Medicare, for example. Right now, the pharmaceutical companies have a rate that they charge Medicare, non-negotiable. Well, we come from a free market. We come from a market that you have to bid. Make the pharmaceutical companies bid just like anybody else does.
As they do with the Veterans Administration.
And it works there. And there's no reason that we're not doing that. There are other things we have to do. We have to make the billing across the board more transparent so people know what they're getting. There's a couple of hospitals in the metro area that do CT scans, and two of them, one charged $823. We did some research, and another one for the same CT scan charged about $1,600. Well, you say, well, everybody's lined up to go to the $823 one, aren't they? No, they're not, because they don't even know what the cost is, and all they're worried about is their deductible on their insurance policy. That's not the way we're going to get this job done. Another thing that we should be doing is there's a lot of fraud, misbilling in Medicare and healthcare in general. Let's make it criminal. Let's make it criminal. Let's put some teeth into it.
We've seen that in the papers in the last week, just here.
Oh, yeah. And let's incent whistleblowers to bring this forth, whether it's a patient that sees something that's not billed appropriately. I had a friend of mine just went in for a physical, and they said they charged him for a full body scan. The guy looked at his throat. Well, you know, turn it in. Go in and tell the people. Other things that we have to do. I believe that we should make the billing transparent. Then on top of that, what we should be doing is we should make it most favorable pricing. I mean, you come into the doctor and you're quoted a price, or for this or that, everybody should have the same price so it's fair and reasonable. It's not like going out buying a TV. I mean, you're going in because you need it. So let's make that, let's do most favored pricing. An example of that would be my dad went in for cataract surgery. And he went in and he had it done, and when it got done, he went out to the front desk like you do and said, well, how much? Oh, it took an hour to do it. They said, that'll be $6,200. And he said, okay. And then they looked up and they said, well, Medicare is going to pay $2,800, and you have a supplement that pays $400, so that's $3,200, Mr. Graves, you can go. He says, well, I guess I owe you another $3,000, don't I? I said, oh, no. And he said, well, what do you mean? Why not? He said, well, we have that billing at $6,200 because some insurance companies pay more. Some people will pay more for it. So we have a high enough price to cover all those. Well, that isn't the way we should be doing business.
No, for sure.
And there's a good article, by the way, Alan. You probably read it, Stephen Brill's article that he wrote in Time Magazine.
Oh, it was a brilliant article.
And he pretty much hits it right on the head. We need to get some integrity and transparency into the billing. And until we do those things, we're not going to get the job done. And we can do those things.
And we've got to get more people working.
Oh, yeah.
And the way to get more people working, to me, is to incentivize these small businesses to hire more people. When they do better, we all do better. When people are working, they're spending. When they're spending, the economy goes up. And it's not just the stock market, which is at its highest point ever now. That doesn't help the unemployed.
No, we have a real unemployment and underemployment problem in America. And really the only solution to that is going to be getting this economy going. And the first thing we need to do to get the economy going, that's why I'm going to Congress. We need people in Congress that speak the truth, understand budgets, real budgets, like in business like I do. If you don't balance your budget, you don't really work with the real numbers, there's an outcome. They call it bankruptcy. And in business, we know that. In Congress, they don't know that. We need to give the people of America predictability and a real solution, and not kick the can down the road, because uncertainty is probably the biggest cause of our problems here. People don't have faith in the future. They don't trust the future. Consumer confidence is low. We need to get people in Congress that will speak the truth and serve the people and come to real solutions to these problems. And we can do it. But we're not going to get it done if people are just talking to the wind and listening to the lobbyists and who give us the money. We need real people that are willing to stand up.
I'm also very disappointed, and I certainly supported the president, but very disappointed in the people that he has really as the overseers of the banking industry, because I see the banks moving in a very dangerous way right now toward what happened 5 years ago. And we just can't afford another recession. And yet with derivatives and things that are getting out of hand, I think that we need a tighter control on the banks, and I think that we need a strong hand to do that.
There's no question we do, and that was all part of the impetus of the Dodd-Frank bill, which could have actually gone further. You know, if you talk to Paul Volcker, it didn't go far enough. Even if you talk to Greenspan, Alan Greenspan, it didn't go far enough. We need to regulate Wall Street so that they can't get in the same kinds of problems, because we're going right back down the path of too big to fail. And we know what happens. You know, we know what happens when
they don't fail. We fail. That's what happens.
Well, and it's an insult to injury when you see somebody like Goldman selling bonds to people and then shorting their own bonds in making money when they fail because they shorted them. There's something wrong with that. You know, and we need self-regulation didn't work. We shouldn't have gotten. I think President Clinton would agree that Rubin's influence and Greenspan's influence was too great. He shouldn't have gotten rid of Glass-Steagall. I mean, that was a mistake. We need regulation at Wall Street to hold them accountable, because, by gosh, this country can't go through that again. That was very painful. We're still feeling the fallout from the 2007, 2008. And if we're not careful, history has a tendency to repeat itself.
And that would be really, really tragic.
It'd be terrible.
What about immigration? Where do you stand on 12 million illegals? Should we put them on a boat and send them back?
Heck no. We've got 11 million, call it 12 if you want to call it, undocumented immigrants in America that are working hard, that are working in a shadow economy, that are probably roofing somebody's house right now. And
I was going to say, doing jobs that a lot of people don't want to do. You know, put them out in the fields where they are really picking vegetables and fruit and things like that. And you won't get people to work for that kind of money. These people are just happy to be able to be in this country and be a part of this country.
I fully endorse the Senate's bill. We need a pathway to citizenship for these folks so they can earn it. I have no problem with making sure that they've been law-abiding, that they pay their taxes, they learn the language, they follow our Constitution. But a pathway, because having the shadow economy with these people working, you know, in the shadows, it's not even social justice. I mean, these people are doing work at you know, sub-minimum wage jobs. They can't come forth. It's not good for the economy. It's not good for the country. And by the way, it was interesting. I was just talking to somebody the other day, our union that represents our employees, and they said that we were one of the first companies in the country that went to e-verification.
You have union employees?
Oh, yes.
And your business is thriving?
It's thriving. We have wonderful employees.
How can that happen?
We have wonderful employees. Again, we love our employees. We treat them like family. They have the same needs we have, and we all win together when we win. And we all work together. And there's a very important role to be played by the unions to make sure that our working people give livable wage jobs, and we encourage that.
People forget that when 25% of the working force was members of unions was the time when this country was really at its apex in terms of the economy and working. Now it's down around 9%, and there is certainly a movement to cut it even more. They're trying it with the postal workers. They're trying it certainly wherever they can. The fact of the matter is that it's just counterproductive. The only thing that it feeds is greed.
Well, Alan, I put it in the category of anything that's pro-family, which is pro-livable wage jobs, which is pro-middle class. I'm in favor of it. And in a perfect world, you wouldn't need a union. But we don't live in a perfect world. I was talking to one of the employers recently in the district, and they said, "Well, Jim, we pay our people union wages." I said, "Oh, well, explain that to me." He said, "Well, here's what we do. We find out what the shop up the road is paying, and then we just match it." I said, "Well, then the union's probably still doing the heavy lifting, because what would you do if in other words, if they were getting paid $7 an hour, you pay them $7 apparently, huh?" I mean, we need to make sure that our working people are treated with dignity and integrity and with livable wage jobs. And you know something? It's just good for business. It's just good for society.
It's good for
it's
everybody.
Just good
That's
for everybody. I mean, that's the thing. It isn't. We all want the same thing, but we need to come together and find that that when we have 40% of our population underemployed or unemployed or whatever struggling, that isn't good for us. It's hurting us. And sometimes the short gain hurts you in the long run. We need that strong middle class. That's what makes America great. That's what's made us great.
We have much more to talk about. Fortunately, this is a 2014 election that we're talking about, not the 2013 election.
Right.
So I'm looking forward to you coming back numerous times and sharing with us as you really undertake a difficult assignment. I know Michelle Bachmann has a large war chest, and so there's money sitting there that she's ready to really use in an attack mode unfairly, and to you unfairly as well. You're going to have to put up with that. But you've got a forum here whenever you want to come and discuss it. And we have about a minute, 20 seconds left. Give a message to the people of the 6th.
What I like to say to the people of the 6th and the people that are out there is that this election that I'm in isn't about Michelle Bachmann or Jim Graves. It's about the people of the 6th District. And I'm not running against anybody. I'm running for the people. I'm running for what's right. I'm running for the strong middle class. I want to see all the businesses do well. I want to see people have a chance, an opportunity to reach that American dream, which is live as well or better than your parents did. And the only way we're going to do that is if we have people in Congress that speak the truth, that are rigorous and understand the facts, and are willing to stand up for what's right. And that's what I'm all about, and I sure appreciate it, because if people hear the message, the people of 6th District, they're going to vote the right way. Thank you, Alan.
No, thank you. Jim Graves has really shared with us some of his thoughts and his beliefs. A man who worked his way up from, as he said, being a janitor to the point where he is a very successful and respected businessman, a man who's not afraid of a union contract, a man who's not afraid to look at Social Security, a man who certainly calls bankers by their first names, and sometimes by other names too. But all the things we have to get rid of. Jim, thank you so much for sharing with us.
Thank you, Alan. Appreciate it so much being here.